if I don't come to acceptance and want it, then it might not work to my advantage. Because if you are ashamed of something and you're not aware that this could be actually your selling point, then you might just miss an opportunity. So I use my boldness as a way to network, because it's usually a very great talking point to people who approach me. Oh, I love your hairstyle. I'm like, yeah, thank you. And I usually also use that as a teaching point as well, a teaching moment where I say, oh, by the way, I'm not bald by choice, I'm bald by force, and I have alopecia. And then people go, oh, what is that? And then because I'm a businesswoman, I'll also put in something about business.
Welcome, fellow entrepreneurs and goal-getters, to Entrepreneurial Elevation, Unleashing Greatness Within, with myself, your host, Kelly Beveridge. And oh my gosh, my special guest today, I am so excited to have her on the podcast. We were just chatting and laughing, and I think that's what we love to do when we get together. The one and only Lady Siza, Sizakele Chaplin. So pumped to have you on here today. And before I bring you on, I just want to introduce you. So Siza and I met, funny enough story, she's from Durban, South Africa. She resides in New Jersey, USA. Yet we met when I was in South Africa building a business, and she ended up being a part of my team. And we just got into leadership together and leadership development. She is a breath of fresh air. She's hilarious. She's full of energy. Everybody gets excited when Lady Siza shows up. And we traveled together. We earned a special trip, and I went on a trip with her and her hubby. And she's just awesome. You're going to see the moment she comes on here. But I just want to give her some credit where credit is due. So she is an international speaker, author, minister. She is also a podcaster with her husband, chilling with the Chaplins. Okay. And she's a serial entrepreneur. She's also the reason why we have this podcast on today. It's a special episode. She's a global advocate for alopecia, which is an autoimmune condition that causes permanent hair loss. And she's very passionate about empowering women who have lost their self-worth to then go and live boldly and authentically and use alopecia as their superpower, just as she has done. And I'm just so excited to have my friend on today for us to talk about this special topic, to hopefully inspire those of you out there that if you look different or there's something different about you, to embrace your uniqueness, because it is your superpower. Siza, welcome.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm so excited. You know what? I've been wanting to be on your podcast. For the longest of time, ever since you told me that you're launching it, I was like, I'm going to be on the podcast. But
I've been so excited to have you, and you've been my inspiration because you and Leonard started your podcast, and I encourage everybody to listen to it because you guys are just such a powerhouse couple. He's a minister also, and so I'm just so honored to have you on today. So Siza, maybe just first things first, why don't you come on and just share what is alopecia? And then what is your story and journey with when you started to realize you had alopecia and what you went through with your self-worth?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to be on this wonderful podcast. And congratulations, Kelly. I know that you've been wanting to do this, and I'm so excited for this journey. And it's going to be an exciting one, bit of challenges, but hey, that's what life is about, right? So alopecia, first of all, I'd like to point out that September is Alopecia Awareness Month internationally. And what does that mean? It means that from the 1st of September to the 30th of September, we commemorate, we create a huge buzz and awareness around hair loss. It could be any type of hair loss. It could be people who are losing hair due to cancer, due to whatever, autoimmune condition like myself, but most especially because it is Alopecia Awareness Month, we speak mostly about alopecia because most people don't know what it is. But guess what? You're in luck because we're going to tell you what it is, right? So alopecia is an autoimmune condition. Autoimmune in meaning that it affects your immune system. So what it basically happens is that your body thinks that, or rather your immune system thinks that your hair is dangerous. Then every time a hair follicle tries to pop up, it then says, oh, here comes danger. Let's go and kill it. So basically that's what it is in layman's language. But it's an autoimmune condition where the hair follicles are killed by the immune system trying to protect itself from the hair. There's different types of alopecias, of course. I have one that is called totalis, which means my whole scalp has no hair. Absolutely not. I'm like as smooth as a baby's butt. But it didn't start off like that. It started off as alopecia areata, which is patches when somebody has patches around their head. Actually, it didn't start off that way. It started off as traction. And most Black people or people of color have that kind of alopecia due to the different hairstyles that we have, the way we tie our hair, the way we treat our hair with all these types of chemicals. I'm not sure with white people how it starts really, but because everybody has alopecia. It chooses no race, Indian, white, Black, colored, you name it. Everybody has alopecia. And you get it at different stages as well. From some people are born with it. Myself, I got it when I was just about to turn 30. Yeah. And it started off as areata. It started off as traction, where my hairline was just shifting. And at some point, my forehead started right over here. And of course, I covered it up as the best way I could with different hairstyles. And there comes a time when you can't cover it up anymore. So I started just wearing wigs and scarves and hats, etc. And then it progressed to areata, which is patches. So my patches start, most people, it start on the crown of the head. That's why you probably see most people with alopecia, their scalp is very shiny because that's where it's like the crown of your head, because that's where it starts. And then, so when the hair falls out, it leaves like a shiny bald patch where hair can never grow again for most of us. For some people who are lucky enough, hair does grow back. And then we have something that is called universalis, alopecia universalis, where people lose hair throughout their body. Whatever there is, we're supposed to be hair, there's no hair. So you can think of those places as well. Armpits, like absolutely everywhere. Fortunately for me, mine is just still totalis. So it's just my whole scalp, my eyebrows, these are actually tattooed. And sometimes my eyebrows, so if you could look very closely, it's very minimal eyebrows, but I'm not a makeup person, so I don't really use whatever. But yeah, so for somebody who has universalis, it's everything. So I'm still fortunate to be in the middle, but it could progress to universalis. It could not.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Wow, thanks for
Yeah.
sharing, because it's about awareness. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, Siza, because I know like now as we're sitting here, you're loud and proud of being someone with alopecia. And yet when you first, like that 30, right? So you went through such a large part of your life with a certain appearance, and it becomes our identity. A lot of women especially attach their identity to their hair. And so
Yes.
what was the emotions and feelings you first went through when you realized that you were going to lose your hair and it wasn't coming back?
Hmm. Don't take me back. I don't want to be emotional about this, but every time I think of that moment, I do become emotional because, especially as a Black woman, woman of color, hair means everything to us. Just being a woman of color, but also being in the church, being a pastor's wife. When you go to a Black church, it's all about hair, really. And the Bible, even people misquote it and say, there's a scripture that says, hair is the crown of a woman. So I'm just paraphrasing. When you do not have hair, you kind of looked upon as, especially at my age, I'm 43. People think, oh, she's going through a midlife crisis or whatever. But so when I got diagnosed, it was one of the hardest times in my life. I was still in South Africa. And unfortunately, South Africa, although it's a progressive country, it's still a third world country. And there's not many resources or references that I could say, okay, I've seen somebody with a bald head, they have alopecia. So when I first heard of that word, it was my absolutely first time to hear of such a word. And so when the doctor told me, which was, I think, a fourth attempt, because I'd gone to several doctors, they were misdiagnosing me until it got really, really bad. So when I finally got to the dermatologist that actually diagnosed me, it was too late, unfortunately, to even just, try to salvage what was left. So she had told me that just, this is it. Unfortunately, you came too late and your scalp has been inflamed too much, so we can't really save it. So those words, when she said alopecia, I said, what are you talking about, lady? What is that? Because it was really my first time hearing it. And I had to go do my own little research to find out what it was. And when I realized, because the doctor didn't have really much time, she was so busy. She didn't really, she just gave me a piece of paper to say, read about it. You might not have get your hair back. And so when I heard might not, I still had hope that I will grow it back. Hence, I tried every remedy in the book. And when people ask, send me, inbox me stuff about remedies that are out there, it really makes me mad because I know I've done it all and nothing worked. And so over the years, I came to just accepting who I was and who I am, and that only God can bring back my hair, because I am a believer that God can heal all diseases and conditions. So that's the only person that I know can bring my cure, but nothing else. No treatments out there have worked for me. So it was devastating. No woman wants to lose their hair. No woman. It is what beauty has been defined as previously. So that's why I'm here to actually help to change the minds of people that really it's not. Hair or no hair, you're still gorgeous. You can still be yourself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love your message. And you speak about that, right? It's so true. Society places such value on appearance. And so how did you have the bravery and courage to start to change your perspective of yourself, that your hair didn't define your authentic self? And then how do you coach and empower other women that society's expectations, because we're nowhere near, I think, it being where society still embraces and is open in that space, right? So that when it comes to hair loss, which is a big deal, not allowing society's expectation of quote unquote beauty define who somebody is.
Yeah. It took me over 7 years to actually come out, unfortunately. And like as I said before, in South Africa there wasn't enough information for me to actually tap into to say, I've seen somebody who has alopecia, or I've read a book about alopecia, so I know what it is and how I can overcome that. Having taken me that long, I always say I was in prison for 7 years, prisoned by fear, I had low self-esteem. The bubbly Caesar that you see now was non-existent. And hence I speak so loudly about it, because I don't want people to go through so many years being imprisoned by what people are going to say or think of me without hair on my skull. So how I overcame was just educating myself, just knowing about this condition and understanding that I am not sick. It was just that I don't have any hair, because it does not affect me in any way health wise. It's just that I just don't have hair. And then my immune system just doesn't like my hair. So when I came to accept that, and that I do not have a terminal condition that could lead me to death, I was grateful that I actually got this disease instead of other diseases that are terminal, because other autoimmune conditions can be terminal. Your lupus, you name it, because there's hundreds of autoimmune conditions out there. So I was grateful that if this was what God had given me, I'm like, Lord, thank you. I can take this. But now my job is to help those women out there, people who in school, in business, or just living their regular life, to say, hey, don't hide. You can still, use this as your superpower. You can still use this as how you stand out. And because wherever we go, we stand out. When I walk into a room, forget the confidence before I even speak. When I walk into a room, trust and believe, heads turn, because they want to see this bold lady. And then when they hear me speak, then it goes to another level. Then they get to understand, oh my God, she never let whatever that happened to her take her down. Because the first thing that people see when you're bold, they think that you've got cancer. Because most people that go through chemotherapy, they lose their hair. So that's why education is so important, that not everybody that's bold has cancer.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tanya, and this is Julie, and we are the founders of Coach Core, your all in one solution for building and scaling a successful coaching business.
At Coach Core, we provide you with everything you need in one place. You can house your courses, manage memberships, run email campaigns, and create stunning websites and funnels, all with our easy-to-use platform.
And it's not just about the software. We offer built-in coaching and mentorship, helping you implement best practices from certified NLP practitioners and story brand coaches. And that's just scratching the surface of what's inside.
And that's why we're excited to sponsor the Entrepreneurial Elevation podcast with Kelly Beveridge. Kelly is a thought leader who inspires and elevates entrepreneurs worldwide.
We believe in the power of community and continuous learning, and this podcast is a fantastic resource for any coach looking to truly grow their practice.
So join us on this journey. Tune into the Entrepreneurial Elevation podcast for insights and inspiration, and visit Coach Core to transform your coaching business today.
Coach Core, your path to coaching success.
People that are bold, some of them are bold by choice. Some people just choose to be bold. They love it. And because it's very economically, it saves you a lot of money, especially as a Black woman. Listen, that hairpiece is expensive. And then also people like myself who are bold by force. We have no choice. The hair is gone. And then people who are bold because they're going through certain treatments.
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh yet. You just cracked me up, right, about like the hair. And so I do have to say, because I was in South Africa for 6 years, hair is everything for women there. Like I would have friends who would show up and I wouldn't recognize them because they'd have a different hairstyle. I'd be like, hey, I'm Kelly. They're like, Kelly, it's me. I'm like, what? That's not what your hair looked like yesterday. How many different hairstyles? Okay, so I want to ask you, because you have embraced your beautiful baldness and you and I are entrepreneurs. You're a serial entrepreneur. And even without what you have gone through, Siza, you have a contagious personality, right? Yet, how do you use this, or what guidance would you give women and men? What guidance would you give them to use having alopecia and this unique, beautiful feature once you come to terms with that as your superpower when it comes to your brand and business? And not even alopecia, to be honest. If anybody out there has something about their appearance that, for lack of better words, they're ashamed of or they're working through embracing, how do we use our uniqueness as our superpower?
There's a lot I can say on that because that's so important. First of all, it's just embracing your unique appearance. Just embrace yourself or whatever. Like you said, it could not just be alopecia. It could be any other weakness that you might have and you've looked down upon. Embrace it. If you cannot change it, just ask for the scenario. What is that prayer again? Ask for it for you to just accept it. Because if you fail to accept yourself, you can't expect other people to accept you. Right? I always say, if I've accepted my weakness, then it's easy for other people to accept it. But if I still struggle with my own weaknesses, then how do I expect the next person to accept my weakness? So it's that, even as you leverage that weakness, even in business, even as branding, let me tell you how awesome that is, because it just shows your authentic self. And people love authenticity. People like people who are not trying to be the next Kelly or the next Siza. They love people to show up as themselves. So if you don't show up as yourself and I try to come in and hide, don't trust them. But even in winter, I cover up my hair because I live in New Jersey and New Jersey is cold. Okay. But that does not mean that I'm hiding who I am. People know, my family and friends know, oh, in winter, she'll wear hats, she'll wear wigs because it's cold. I'm protecting my poor scalp. But in summer, spring, fall, I walk out there with intention because I'm trying to make a statement as well. It is my brand. And I know that I stand out anywhere that I go. How many women, Black, white, Indian, whatever, because I said, remember, alopecia goes to all race. It does not choose any race. It does not choose any gender, because male and female have it. It doesn't choose age. So when you walk into a room, especially females, because men are like accepted to be bold, but especially as a female, Black, white, Indian, whatever color you are, trust and believe you will stand out. So why don't you just turn that into a branding moment? Why don't you just turn that into a point where you're selling yourself as that? Because people will never forget the bold lady. They will never, right? People will never forget that lady who came in maybe with sunglasses because maybe they cannot see. People will never forget that person who came in speaking sign language. Whatever your weakness is, use that, leverage that. It will work for your good. Trust
No,
me.
I love it. And I love how you shared, I don't want to gleam over that, how you shared how you're grateful that you have the autoimmune of alopecia, because it isn't an autoimmune that's terminal. And I think sometimes when we look at, and it's not even a weakness, right? That it's like when we look at the areas that our perspective is of it being a weakness, there's always blessings in there. And so I'm curious for yourself, since you have accepted of what you cannot change and you've embraced this uniqueness of you, how do you show up differently in your personal life and in business?
I guess I have that power of self-awareness that I walk around with, and I'm very intentional about it. I'm very intentional about what I say about my bald condition and about alopecia. So I encourage everybody out there who has alopecia and is struggling, or any other condition for that matter, to just be self-aware that, okay, this is what's happening. So when people turn their heads, they're either judging or they are actually so proud of how bold you are, right? Because I have a lot of people come and approach me and say, you wear it so, and I'll be like, thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I know I do. I wear it well. I didn't used to. I used to be so ashamed. And that's okay, because we go through phases, right? Because I had to mourn my hair loss, like mourning a death of whatever, because I knew that if I don't come to acceptance and mourn it, then it might not work to my advantage. Because if you are ashamed of something and you're not aware that this could be actually your selling point, then you might just miss an opportunity. So I use my boldness as a way to network, because it's usually a very great talking point to people who approach me. Oh, I love your hairstyle. I'm like, yeah, thank you. And I usually also use that as a teaching point as well, a teaching moment where I say, oh, by the way, I'm not bald by choice, I'm bald by force, and I have alopecia. And then people be like, oh, what is that? And then because I'm a businesswoman, I'll also put in something about business. And I just recently went to an event in New York, because it's actually New York Fashion Week. And I slid it in. I said, won't you don't want a model who's bold and who's a bit plus size? And because the guy was like, you know what? I never thought about that. Let me think about that. Could be an opportunity, you know? So I've used it as a way to showcase, if I could put it that way, my being authentic self, and also just how being different makes you stand out.
Yeah, I love it. And get your foot in the door and open the conversation and start to connect with people. And I think, what you're saying is so brilliant. So one, from a business perspective, it does become your brand, because it gives you the opportunity to actually talk to way more people than otherwise you might have, which is pretty phenomenal. And I think it also gives you the opportunity to support people. Not that people are bad, yet we all judge. So it's like to support people in their own inner judgment so that they can have some awareness. I think that that's also great that you use it for teachable moments. And this, you and I were taught this by our mentor, Charlie, that how beliefs are created is by what we tell ourselves over and over again. So I think that the more you stand up in your voice with alopecia, and you keep telling yourself how amazing you are and that it is your superpower, you might not have believed it in the very beginning, yet the more you say it and the more you speak it into existence, the more it actually becomes true, because you believe it from that repetition of telling yourself that story over and over again. So I love all that. Like, Siza, you're here and you're really confident right now. What guidance would you give someone who is in the early stages of alopecia and they're embracing it and accepting it, yet they're wanting to move forward in their belief in themselves, that this doesn't have to impact their way of life, what's available to them, their goals? What advice would you give somebody who's just at the beginning of their, I don't want to say struggle, awareness that this is going to be their life?
You could say struggle, because it is a struggle. Waking up every morning, not recognizing the person that you once were, is a struggle. And for a very long time, I remember, unfortunately for me, I stayed by myself, or unfortunately for a long time. And I covered my mirrors all over my home, because I didn't want to see the person that I was looking at. I did not recognize that person for the longest of time. I didn't like that person. I actually hated myself for the longest of time, because I questioned God every day. Why me? Why would you do this to me? And I'm a liker of things. Those who know me, I love things. I love fine things. And so if I like things, it means that I like all types of hairstyles. Okay. So now the fact that I cannot, and I can only embrace those hairstyles only through wigs, which are not the most comfortable at times and are very expensive, it breaks me and it hurts me. So what I would say to people who are actually in the struggle, or starting off this journey of accepting their new norm, I would say self-acceptance. That's it. I don't know how loud I can say that. And I say this to the group that I say that to the groups that I coach. I say this to women that inbox me on a daily basis, asking how am I able to accept myself and just be proud about my being bold. I just say, just accept it. Just accept that this is it. And you're not the only one, and you can overcome. And you are gorgeous with or without hair. I always say to women, children as well, because children suffer a lot even in schools, because there's a lot of bullying that goes on in schools. And I do go out to schools and do talks as well. And anybody who wants,
Love it.
I'm here. And excuse me, and I do go out to schools, and I emphasize that, that we are beautiful with or without hair, first of all. Secondly, hair can be just an accessory, right? Just like how we put on wigs, that's an accessory. How we put on rings or jewelry, that's an accessory. Treat hair as an accessory. That's what I've done. So that's why you would see me today with a braid wig. Tomorrow you'll see me with a roll-up wig. The next day you'll see me without a wig, because it is an accessory. I wear it just like I wear my glasses. Today I've got these beautiful shiny ones. The next day I got some dark whatever, or whatever. It's an accessory. So if you treat life like that, or alopecia like that, trust and believe you're going to get over that fear of how will people accept me sooner rather than later. Because the sooner you accept what has happened to you, the better and the faster. And also people will give that in return, because people will not accept you until you accept yourself.
Yeah, I love what you're sharing. I say, and I love how you find cute, cool, different, unique ways to express yourself, right? And everything you're sharing, Siza, can actually just be a message to everybody listening, right? Like how to tap into our inner badass, our inner self-acceptance, no matter what's going on in our lives. And so I love your message. And I'm curious around self-acceptance, right? Because I think that this to me is what life is about. And that once again, everybody could use this conversation of how to accept ourselves at the next level, a deeper level, a true level. And so how important does mindset play in this role of self-acceptance? And what did you do? Like, did you start reading personal development? Did you start doing affirmations? Did you lean into your faith? Like, what did you do to speed up, for lack of a better word, self-acceptance, right? Because it's one thing just to say, accept yourself. Yet what did you actually practically do so that you could start to feel self-love and self-acceptance?
Being part of your team, Kelly, that helped me a lot. I won't lie. You did a lot of how do I put it? You help, like whenever I think of whenever I think of phrases like, what did you used to say? What you think about most grows. I think that's what you focus on grows. I think of Kelly, you know, and whatever that you utter becomes, I think of Kelly. So whenever I think of things like negative, I think of the things that I've learned through your coaching lessons. And they have helped me to overcome. Because I know while I was with you in the team, we were doing New Skin, I had a lot of self-doubt at some points, because of course we were selling beauty products. Here I am coming with this bald head, like whatever. And I had a lot of hyper pigmentation as well. And then got to our products, they help a lot. Let's go, it's fine. Just being around a community that will support you. That's where I'm going. Helps a lot. Find a community. Having a supportive structure is the best thing you can do for yourself. Be it friends, family, be in groups like that mentor, like Kelly, that will always remind you of your greatness, remind you of what you're capable of. Being in supportive groups, like I have a support group on Facebook, Global Alopecia Movement, where we just share our stories, share our hardships on alopecia, our journeys, and and the bad days that we're going through. Because some days are not so great. Some days I just want to wake up and just have hair. That's the honest truth. 13 years later, I still want my hair back.
Yeah.
But it does not mean that I've not accepted that I might not have it back. But as a woman, I want to have my hair. I want to have my husband brush his hand through my hair, stroke his hand through my hair. And probably for me, that could never happen. And having said that, self-acceptance has helped me in so many ways, and my faith, knowing that when God says, I'm the healer of all diseases, and at the right time, I'll make it right, I hold on to that hope that maybe one day I will get my hair back. But if I don't, then it means this was my purpose for life. Because each and every one of us have a purpose in this life. Whatever it may look like right now, we all have a purpose. And that purpose sometimes might come in wrapped up in sandpaper. And it might not feel right or feel good at the time, but it's what God has decided that you have to serve humanity with. And I believe that this is my way of serving humanity. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
I don't cry because I'm sad that my hair will never come back. I just cry because I know that there's so many women out there who just don't have what we have, who don't have the support that I can always pick up a phone and call Kelly and say, hey, Kelly, I'm having a really bad day. And Kelly will just bombard me or feed me or embrace me with words of affirmation and make me feel better. There are women out there who don't have husbands like mine, who will always just affirm me every day and say, baby, you're beautiful. You don't have to have hair. You know, there are people out there who don't have their faith that they can hold on to and say, you know what, today might not look like the day, it might not look great, but tomorrow will be better. So I'm crying out for the woman out there that reach out to me every day, the children out there who have no one. I want to be that reference point. I want to be that supportive sister, supportive auntie that they can always call upon and say, hey, what do I do now? I feel really bad today. Today's a really, really bad day. I'm having a bad hair day, like literally. So how do I overcome that? And it does get emotional in most of those calls, but I always make sure that I make them leave feeling better about themselves, because that's the whole point of my interactions with them. So what I would like to also say to people out there, be empathetic. Please put yourself in a person's shoes. Put yourself in my shoes and say, what if I wake up one day without hair? Because it's possible. Remember, alopecia is dormant to everybody. We all have it. Just that the different triggers, because it's triggered by various things. Some people get it through, like I said, they were born with it. Some people get triggered through probably an accident. They had an accident and their body had like a shock. I got it through a huge amount of stress that I went through a bad business deal that happened, and I lost a whole lot of money. And I guess my mind couldn't accept it. And during that time, I also lost a job that I had, trying to pay off a loan that I took for business that went south. And I was doing my master's so there were a lot of things were happening in one go. And then my head just said, hey, whatever, I can't handle this. I'm out, bye. So that's how my hair went. So people have lose it in various ways. So whatever that you're going through right now, I want to say to you, you're not the only one going through it. First of all, you're not going to be the last, but also you are strong enough to get over it. Okay. And God has given you whatever that you're going through for a reason and a purpose. You have a bigger purpose in this life than you can ever imagine. And it's bigger than you.
Oh my gosh. Siza, everything you just shared was so beautiful and heartfelt. And you made me tear up there as well. And I can just feel your genuine love and care for people and for people who are experiencing and going through what you've gone through. And I was going to ask, it's funny because I had some questions and you answered all of them with what you were sharing there. Yeah. One of my questions was going to be, how come you have chosen to be an advocate? And because you could just go about your day-to-day life living with alopecia and accepting yourself, and that could be it. Yet you've chosen to step into leadership and you've chosen to be a voice for possibly some women and men who aren't strong enough right now to be a
I'm
voice.
sure.
Yeah. And speaking about your purpose and your passion and wanting to be there, why else are you choosing to be an advocate?
Because it's bigger than me. It's not even about me. And that's when I realized that, that's when I came to acceptance to say, oh, okay, I'm here to, even if I change one person's life, even if I save one person's life, I would have done my purpose, because there are a lot of people out there that kill themselves. They commit suicide because they cannot come to acceptance. They commit suicide because they're being bullied every day. There's, unfortunately, I don't have my stats right here, but there's hundreds of people who die on a yearly basis because they have this alopecia and they just don't know how to handle it. And I'm one of those people who nearly killed themselves because of alopecia. I had a suicidal, probably 2 or 3 moments where I was like, I can't do this. And I was just ready to take this life away. So I'm out there to help people not to get to the point where they're taking a life away. In fact, how I came out of my alopecia, I decided to pen a book,
Hmm.
Enough Already, Overcoming the Stigmas of Alopecia, which you can find on Amazon or you can directly order from me. I penned this book because I couldn't find a book of somebody who told a story of how they, from diagnosis to how they're managing their alopecia. So it was for that reason that when I wrote it, I actually told people that it's not even for profit. No, you'll see in Amazon, it's so cheap. It is just actually just to get my voice out there to as many people as possible to say, hey, I'm also here. You're not alone. Basically,
Mhm.
you're not alone and you can overcome.
Oh my gosh, so powerful. And man, I'm just so appreciative that you are here, Siza, because you made a difference in my life, a massive impact in my life. And I'm so grateful to hear you say that I made a difference in your life too. And that's what it is about. And now you're out there one person at a time. You are saving lives. You are making a difference because you've had the courage to embrace who you are authentically and go out there proudly and speak about it. And before I ask a few last questions and we start wrapping up, what would you like to see? Like, if you had your magic wand and you can wave it, what would you like to see culturally around the narrative of what we as a society deem as beauty?
Hmm. What a deep, deep, deep statement you just a question you just asked. That beauty is they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It really is. Also, let us try to destigmatize certain things that people have no control over, especially conditions. Like I did not choose to have alopecia. I did not choose to lose my hair. So if people would just accept that, then life would be so much
Mm.
easier. People would not need to hide themselves from, because mostly we hide ourselves from judgment. We hide ourselves from people looking at us and defining us as ugly. Who said hair makes you look beautiful? There are people who have hair, but they look terrible, you know? So if you could just destigmatize certain things and just be empathetic and be accepting and remember that we are all different and that's what makes us beautiful and unique, right? If everybody was the same, then the world would be so boring. My message out there would be, let's just embrace and love one another as we are. Stop the judgment, remove the stigma, so people are able to be themselves unapologetically, right? So that they don't have to have excuses. Why am wearing a wig? Why do I have to be in a wheelchair? Why people do certain they're afraid to go to leave their homes because people are gonna judge and people are gonna treat them differently. So my message is like, let's just love one another because that's what God had really, really wanted us to do. Love one
Mhm.
another and be accepting of one another, then we will live in such a beautiful world.
Oh my gosh, Cesar, I love it. Beautiful message. I love it. I love you. Okay, before I ask a few questions, where can people find you? Because I know people are going to be listening. One, they're going to want to reach out to you for support, right? Because possibly they're going through something similar, or they just want to lean on you as you've shared. Or two, they just want to maybe have a piece of Lady Siza, right? Your energy and your awesomeness, or they want to read your book, or they want to listen to your podcast. They want to know what you do for business, because I believe people want to follow people and be involved with people personally and in business because they know, like, and trust them. And you showing up and sharing today, you're just so authentic. I know people are going to want to know more about you. So where can they find you?
So you can find us here on YouTube, chilling with the chaplains with my husband. We have a podcast where we just really talk about business, ministry, marriage. We touch on a lot of topics and also the different cultures, America and South Africa, because he is American and I am South African. And there's a lot of similarities and differences that we talk about between the two countries. So you can find us there, and you can find us on TikTok, which is also chilling with the chaplains, Instagram at Lady Siza 1, and Facebook Sizakele Mdluli-Chaplin. Also, you can grab some of the books that I've co-authored. This one is, I think, one of the latest one, Alopecia Our Story, Living the Life with My Bold Life, as well as Lemonade Chronicles. These are all on Amazon, and they were bestsellers. So you would really love them. And also, of course, this one was my solo one, which is Enough Already, Overcoming the Stigmas of Alopecia. And then just to share, I was also featured in Bold Life magazine with my hubby, because we actually, the last book that we did, this Alopecia Our Stories, but I co-authored it with my husband. So then we were asked to be featured in a magazine. And if you want a copy, let me know.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So definitely check you out. We'll put all that information in the show notes and the name of the book so that people could find them. Go read it. I know I've read your one book. It's super inspiring. You're inspiring. I've always loved you so much. And okay, Siza, last few questions, just short form. So what would you say? Siza and I like to talk. If all of you listening haven't figured that out, I'm actually surprised we're going to fit this podcast in the 45 minutes. We did good. We should pat ourselves on the back. Okay, don't mess it up now, Siza. We have no, just kidding. Okay, so Siza, what would you say now would be your definition of success?
Okay, so I want to put it like this, that success is a personal concept, okay? And I would say it evolves over time. Who I was last year or even yesterday is different from the person that I am today and even tomorrow. So for me, success is really about living out your life in alignment with your values and your purpose.
Beautiful. I love it.
I'm not done. And making an impact, right, in other people's lives, because I feel like that's what I've been doing. No matter how small the impact is, that's success. And also growing in wisdom and in character on every day, because we evolve. Like I said, today's success is not the same as yesterday's success or tomorrow's success. But also while doing that, just embracing challenges, because challenges will come. But that doesn't mean that you're not successful, right? Learning from your failures will come as well. Okay. And also becoming the best version of yourself. That's what success is to me. It does not mean having accolades, getting awards, or having $1,000,000 of dollars in the bank. That's nice, but just be grateful that you are not the same person as you were yesterday. You're actually better. You're progressing.
I love it. Okay. And what would you share in alignment with the topic of success? What are 3 ways or 3 tips that you would give someone to unleash their inner greatness?
Oh, because we're here to unleash our greatness,
That's right?
So one, I've already touched on this, embracing your unique identity. All right. Secondly, developing a growth mindset. And this is Kelly's really, that's what you're known for, right? Teaching that. And that's beautiful. And then lastly, taking bold and consistent actions in your life in whatever way, whatever that you've set up to do, make sure that you do it.
Yeah. Awesome. And so speaking of making sure that you do it, what would be an action call to action you would give the listeners when they hop off this episode, that just based on your message, right, of kindness, embracing your uniqueness, stepping into leadership, all the things we talked about today, what's one thing you would encourage them to do after they hear this episode today?
Okay, I do have it. I would really like our listeners to put out maybe a post, a social media post out there just in the week. Whenever you see this in the next week, I'm giving you 7 days ultimatum to do that. So think of an area where you face adversity and self-doubt, all right? And ask yourself this: how can this experience make me stronger, make me more empathetic, and more innovative in the work of life that I'm doing, or even in the business that I'm doing, right? Then you take that one bold step to use and reframe it in your business or your personal growth journey, all right? And then maybe put it out as a social media post, like I said, or share it in a blog or even in a business meeting, but just put it out there. Maybe share your authentic journey with people, because that's how people connect with people. People connect with people who are authentic and who are willing to be vulnerable and to share.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I want to add something to that too. While you're out there doing what Siza just suggested, also, I would like to add a call to action of speak into existence something around alopecia. So if ask your friends, hey, do you know what alopecia is? Yeah, I didn't really know either, yet I listened to Lady Siza, this amazing person, talk about it. Or you could even go and share on your social media. Hey, I just learned it's alopecia month, right? Here's some things that I know now understand. And so how can possibly the listeners
Or maybe reach out, Kelly, to somebody that you've never seen their skull.
Yeah.
Okay. Reach out to them and say, hey, I just wanted to tell you that you're beautiful. You don't even have to ask them, why don't you have your whatever. Just say one thing that will make them, because that one thing will really change the way they see themselves. And even if you see someone with a bald head, don't stare. Just give them a smile, because it took a lot for them to be out on that street with that bald
I
head.
love that.
Remember that.
I love that. And yeah, even just going out, when you step outside the door, if you do one thing, just do your best to embrace people's uniqueness. Embrace people's
Yeah, be
uniqueness.
kind.
Be kind. I love it, Siza. One last thing you want to share before we wrap up? Anything else?
I think we've
I
covered it
think
all.
we did a
right?
good job.
I just want to thank everybody for just tuning in and continue to support Kelly. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share this podcast. Okay. That's how we grow the community. Share it with your friends, share it with your frenemies, share it with neighbors. Just share. And we really, really appreciate that, because that's how we grow. And that's how the message is going to go out there, and more people will know about this wonderful
Oh my gosh, Siza, thank you so much for promoting me. Thank you for being here. Thanks just for being a freaking rock star. I love you and I miss you, and super grateful, and happy Alopecia Month. What a beautiful, beautiful month. And so grateful for the awareness and everything that you taught us today. Thank you so much for being you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Once again, I just want to thank Lady Siza for being on that episode today. A dear, dear friend of mine. You just want to thank her for her bravery, for being an advocate for alopecia, and being that it's September and it's Alopecia Awareness Month. I hope that for those of you who've never heard of it before, you now know and you have some education. And I just think today's message could be about a couple things. One being, if somebody has something that you might not understand, a unique quality or characteristic, to practice kindness, right? If we all practice a little bit more kindness, the world would be a better place. And then for those who have something unique about yourself and you may consider it a weakness, or society deems it a weakness, to practice self-awareness. And I love Lady Siza's, story around coming to terms that alopecia is her superpower, and she has turned it into her gift, and she has turned it into her blessing. And not always easy to do, yet such a powerful, powerful message. And so just Lady Siza, thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed today's episode, everybody, please like and subscribe. Head over to Lady Siza's podcast and check it out, right? Chilling with the Chaplins. Like and subscribe to her podcast. And just once again, thanks so much for listening, everybody. Let's spread kindness with love, greatness, and success. It's your host, Kelly Beveridge.